So thank you everyone for being here today to hear about the great work that Société Générale is doing around generative AI and agentic AI. I see in the room many of the great folk from SocGen AI, from Société Générale that are with me involved in the transformation of the groups through AI. And since now a year, we really put AI at the core of the transformation of Société Générale. Société Générale is a 160 years bank that is undergoing a really profound transformation across all the dimensions. And AI is clearly one of the core as pillar of this transformation. We considered that to be able to drive that transformation, we needed to be bold. And this boldness is today reflected by the fact that Société Générale has created a dedicated entity that acts somehow as an AI software company, as an AI company, in order to accelerate the transformation of the group thanks to AI. So not many banks did it. All banks have labs, but Société Générale went one level beyond to create a company like Amazon did it 15 years ago with AWS. Société Générale has somehow its own AWS. What SocGen AI is doing is building software, building AI product that will help us scale AI transformation across the group. And right now, we are undergoing the first development of the solution that SocGen AI will provide to the group. And we have, at the same time, not just build the solution, but started to implement them in production. So today, I will present what we've did over the past year with real examples that are already working with people using this solution on several of the core transformations that we have prioritized. Something that is core in our transformation is Agentic AI. A lot of companies are speaking about that, but from the start, we decided that SocGen AI should be built around agent. We see agent profoundly as the next step of the transformation of financial services. And we wanted to be one of the first company to really implement in banking agentic AI in production. Agentic AI is not new. Some people working in AI already use agent or previous version of the agent over the past years. The first agent were rule-based. Then over the past 10 years, we started to see more advanced algorithm with learning capabilities, what people are calling machine learning, or the most advanced version of machine learning, deep learning. And it led to the development of generative AI that you probably all use today through ChatGPT or the alternative to ChatGPT. What we are focusing on at SocGen AI is really the implementation of generative AI and agentic AI in production. And we are leveraging both the flavor to make our work faster, but also to make sure that we transform a few of our core processes. So generative AI, you know it. You have a model that has learned from all the text, images, videos that is on the web. You can query that model and you get an answer. And the better you instruct the model to give you an answer, the better the answer is. But we have identified over the past years that the past 2 years that this algorithm could be even more than just a solution that provides you answer. This is a system that could think, that could create a reasoning, that could plan. And if you input the right data, if you provide the right instruction to the system, if you provide the system with way to interact with the world, it can be physical world, it can be APIs to interact with the digital world, it can be the interface that you have on your phone, your laptop, or that our team are using. If you provide them, then the system can start to act on your behalf. And we identify that this system could actually be starting to collaborate all together to be able to address much more complex goals. And what we are doing at SocGen AI is we try to put into action this collaborative effort of the agent in order to be able to transform some of our core processes. So we have started to implement agents that collaborate with other agents, that interact with our system, and that get instructed to do the tasks that our people used to do. We are at the beginning of the journey. That will be a long journey, but today in SocGen AI and Société Générale, it is already a reality, and SocGen AI is building the capability to be able to do that at scale. So I spoke quickly about an agent, but let's dig a bit deeper, because what we are doing and what we are implementing in Société Générale, this is really all the blocks that enable us to put that vision into reality. So what I said is that now you have really powerful models, the large language model or multiple versions that derive from this large language model that are able to reason. So these are at the centers of the agent. And the solution we are building are providing additional components to make this system work in the real world. The first thing is we need to instruct the model. This is already what you are doing with ChatGPT. Whenever you ask a question, you instruct the model to find its previous knowledge that is acquired, a way to answer to your question. Not always good. We know that there are hallucinations, but that's the first step to have a system that is able to work. So we have the instruction and the reasoning that is led from that instruction. The second thing is, if we want to have system that provide right answer, we need to connect the system with the knowledge of the bank. So the second layer is some knowledge that we have in the bank that will help us to answer to the question of our people. We have additional components that enable us to go faster and beyond, because what we've identified is that our client, for example, interact with us multiple times, and from this past interaction with our client, we can learn things. So, but to be able to reuse that information that we had from our previous conversation, we need to have a memory of that previous conversation. So we implement capacity to memorize in order to have systems that get better and better as they interact with our client. We connect this system with our system, for example, with APIs, in order to get access to data from the bank or to be able to execute the action. This is what we call tools in the agentic language. And on top of that, we make sure that we have control. And the way to control this agent is a proper governance framework, a way to give hands to human if the system is not knowing how to do it, a way to ensure that we control what the system is doing, ensuring that we have always the right performance, ensuring that we can explain the decisions. So we are putting this governance framework. And finally, we have a way to orchestrate these models where we have communication patterns that we've implemented in order to have several agents that either communicate between each other or communicate with our human. And when we do that properly, with all these components, we realize that we are able to get really high performance in production on some of the tasks that we have started to implement AI. So to do that, to build the solution in SocGen AI, right now we are 60%. We have data scientists, we have engineers, we have people that are in charge of the initiatives, and we are both helping the firms in order to identify some of the initiatives, to identify what process to transform, how to transform the process. And we have built already 3 main solutions. One solution to accelerate the processing of our document in order to extract all the information that is key to perform our actions. We have a solution that I will present today that enables us to get a lineage for every single report that the bank is producing. So we have started to produce this lineage for many reports already. And we have this agentic capability that provides the governance, that provides the orchestration, and that enable us to have a few processes that start to be automated with agents. So my focus will be on lineage AI and agentic AI today. First, on lineage AI, we have developed a full software that enables us to leverage the capacity of generative AI to read documents, the capacity of generative AI to read code, and then to input that information to human to just fill the missing gap. And through that collaboration between AI and people, we are managing to accelerate significantly the production of the lineage for our key regulatory and financial report. So we have all of the information about our lineage in multiple documents. And we have part of the missing information that is not in our document in our code, and therefore we have several steps that I will present to be able to reproduce the lineage. On the other side, I will present the real case of implementation of our Agentic AI platform, where we have all the capacity to orchestrate agent, to govern the agent, in order to detect the intention from our client, to be able to extract the information that supports the intention of our client, to reconcile that information with what's in our system, and at the end, execute the action of our system. So let's speak about the lineage AI in action. We have, as a bank, many key regulatory reports that we need to produce. So we have financial reports that we send to the ECB, to the ACPR. We have also regulatory reports that highlight the risk of the organization. We have ESG reports that highlight what we do around, for example, CO2 emissions. So we have multiple regulations that force us to have sound report. And the regulator wants to make sure that the data that we put into that report is controlled and is right. That's the only way for the regulator to be able to control us properly. To generate this report, we rely on many systems. And we have, as a bank, several thousand of these systems that are used every day to get data from our client, to process this data, to transform this data, to transform this data, to control the data, and then to actually provide the report. When we have one report, we need to understand really precisely what are all the systems that are involved in this production. And we can have in a chain several tens of these systems that are involved for the generation of one report. As a bank, over the past years, it was complicated to be able to document everything for each of the reports we're producing. But now it's becoming a request of the regulator, and the regulator is expecting us to answer to their request much faster. So the only way we have to be able now to move at the speed that the regulator is asking us is to leverage on AI. What AI is helping us to do is to read all the documentation that we have had of the past on the report, on the application that were identified to produce the data from this report, but also once we know the applications that are involved in the production of the report, we now have generative AI that can help us to read the code of the application, to retro-document this application, and identify what specific data we have in our code, what are the controls that we have on this data, and what are the transformations that happen on multiple data to get at the end, for example, the result of the firm. So we have built two engines. One engine to read the code of many of our applications. We have applications in multiple languages, so we need to be able to treat these multiple languages. And on the other side, we have an engine that is able to read all the documentation, Word document, PDF, PPTs, or other format that is useful to generate the first approach of our lineage. And we have an interface that helps then the team validate what the AI extracted, control and validate, and if there is anything missing, having the human input in order to complete the data lineage. On this lineage, we have two aspects. The first aspect is the macro lineage. The macro lineage is really the high-level view of the lineage, where we are only the view on what are the applications that are involved in the production of the data used in the report. On the second part, we have what we call the detailed lineage. Once we have built our macro lineage, we know what are the applications involved. We look at each application. We run our code reader, and through the code reader, we are missing the gap. What are the data involved in the code? What are the control? What are the transformation? And through these two aspects, we are able to, for some of our lineage, having 60% or 80% of the lineage already generated without a lot of human interventions. And for the rest, to complete, we rely on human. So we have a sort of collaboration between human and AI that will accelerate dramatically our effort. If we look at the full process, you have it there. So the first step is really use AI that read a first set of documents, and through that first set of documents, we start to see the global picture. what are the applications that are involved. But then we need to go one level deeper to say, okay, we know our report, we know the field of this report that we need to provide, so where is the data present in the application? So we start to read the code of some application to say, in that specific application, I have, for example, the payment. In that specific application, I will have the information about securities. In that application, I will have some information about risk. And I know what the application is used for. We have, using different techniques and using the information from multiple systems, so combining the different data that we put. So if we have tens of documents and we see one system explained in several documents, we will give it a higher confidence score than if we see only one document speaking about an information. And the AI is able to tell us that information. I've read that information in 3 systems, so I give it 30, 40, 60% of confidence. I read it only once, and in another system, it tells me that it is another system that is involved. So probably I have a low confidence that this is the right system that I need to describe. And based on that confidence, we focus the effort of the team. The final approach is to build the detailed lineage. Once the human have validated the confidence and said, these are really these applications that are involved, and this is the flow of data across this application, we focus our team to execute the code reviewer of the system that reads the code. We have, on some application, really complex code with 100,000 of files, and the AI is able to process that in a day in order to give us, at the end of the day, the full view of the lineage. And while we were expecting to have multiple weeks to be able to process this lineage, now we are able to do several lineage per week, and we expect next year to have possibly several hundred of lineage that will be generated through that application. So we have a massive acceleration thanks to AI within Société Générale, and that solution was the first solution produced by SocGen AI. So we are really proud to present what we've done today because it dramatically helps the team accelerate this momentum. Now, I will speak about what we do around Agentic AI. So Agentic AI, you've heard a lot about it. I presented more specific what are these agents. But to be able to accelerate our effort, we identified that no solution were at that time existing on the market to meet our needs. So we decided that we had to build this platform from scratch, knowing that if we wanted to accelerate and be among the first to deploy Agentic AI, we had to do it by ourselves. So we've started at the beginning of the year to build that platform. You have some of the people in that team that participate heavily to the definition and development of the platform. And there are 4 different layers. The first layer and the first choice we made was to not build everything ourselves. We rely massively on Azure, which is one of the cloud of choice of Société Générale. But as Azure is providing a lot of capacity and is accelerating its roadmap around agent, not everything was existing for us. One element that was not existing was the orchestration of agent. So we had to build the orchestration of agent that we had to deliver our use cases. The second thing that we had to build was the capacity to integrate this agent with our system, in particular as some protocol was emerging, like the agent-to-agent protocol or the MCP protocol. We have started to build and deploy within the bank MCP servers that help us to connect our system with our agentic platform. And MCP is de facto the leading standard to implement agents that interact with a bank system or APIs across the world. And on top of that, we have developed several systems to help our team interact with our agent, because every time we have a decision made by an agent, right now we have a control by human, and we had to build a sound interface, really appealing UX, to make sure that our back office teams were able to understand what the AI was doing, review in depth the result of the AI, but have a strong accelerator factor generated by the agent. So you have this platform there. Since the summer, we have started to integrate this platform with other agentic platforms in the group. So one first agentic platform that we have deployed is a Power Platform solution. This is a solution from Microsoft that enables to create quickly automation, deploy quickly machine learning models, but also have some sort of agent through a solution called Copilot Studio. And we have integrated our platform with Power Platform to make sure that we start to have more agentic capability available to it. We have in the platform this following process. So we have a first set of agents that look at what our client are sending us. So they are sending, for example, emails, and we have agents that look at the email and say, this email is not relevant for what I want to do, so I stop reading that email and I'm focusing only on the emails that are relevant for the task I need to handle. There are then agents that look at the email and say, there are several intentions in my email, there are intentions that I understand and I need to act, there are some information that is provided that is not relevant for the task that I need to do, or there are information that is provided to us that I don't know how to handle, and I will handle that to a human in order to have the human address that. And then it handles to an orchestrator the capacity to execute the different tasks. So for several of the tasks, we have agents that are specialists to handle this task. For example, executing a payment. So we'll have the orchestrators that will identify how it should translate the query of the client from both the intention, the information that supports the intention, in order to have the different agents that execute the task. So we can have an agent that executes a payment, an agent that answers an email to the client if information is missing, and an agent that will control also what all the agents have been doing in order to validate that the process has been executed properly. When we have all that, we have a first step, a last step that says, I aggregate all this result. Is it good? Is there anything that I need to handle to the human for the human to do it? And at the end, I say to the human, this is all what I plan to do. Are you able to validate what I've done? Is there anything I need to change? And the human has the final say right now, where it says, okay, all the information you extracted is correct, or some of the information that you extracted is correct and I need to change some of it. The person is doing it, and at the end just has to click on a button, and what the agent has prepared can be executed. We had started to deploy that solution at the beginning of 2025 on the first process, which is the collateral process. So on the collateral process, we have an interaction between our client and us. Every day, the client sends us an amount that we need to pay as part of the collateral, or our client has to pay something. And we have a process of reconciliation of the amount between ourselves and the client. The client may disagree, the client may agree with us. And what we have now is agents that look at what the client is asking us, the information that we have in our system, and the agent can do part of this reconciliation process between our client and us. The last aspect, where we have now 84% of proper result from the agent, is the payment of security. So we receive emails that are really unstructured that ask us to execute payment on securities. So we have different information that you see. You have the nature of the security, when the trade needs to be done, what amount the customer wants to trade, at which price. So we have this type of information, and we get that into an email. So in the email, you see, it can be a short text, it can be a copy-paste of a screen, it can be a table that is inputted into the email, so really unstructured information. And the AI is able today to treat 94% of the email properly. And at the end, input in our system that information, so the reference of the trade. When there is an issue, highlight that there is an issue so that someone can handle that issue. If there is no issue, just put the information prepared so that someone can execute it. And it's now live since October, and many more use cases will come. So thank you a lot, and happy to discuss afterwards on the progress around that.